Hi everybody, my name is Josh Silverman. I work with Kai Real Estate in Berkeley, California. I'm here at a house that I helped a client buy in North Berkeley, and I'm excited to talk to him today, and will explain the journey that he's been on. He bought this house for $850K in 2015. I basically said, don't buy this house unless you think you're going to expand it, you're going to outgrow it. Here we are 9 years later, and he's pouring foundation on the addition today. And so it's really fun and an interesting case study to kind of think about the evolution of buying into a neighborhood that you really want to be in and thinking about expanding your house, changing your house over time. You can change a house, but you can't change the location. And so this is just a great story here, and I wanted to share it with you, and I'm excited to meet up with Alex today and talk to him about the process. Good morning, my name is Josh Silverman. I work with Kai Real Estate here in Berkeley, California. I'm here with my friend and client, Alex Moses, who lives in North Berkeley with me. I'm a few blocks that way, and he's been over here since 2015. Helped you buy this house in 2015.
That's right.
And we're here to talk about basically the evolution of Alex owning this home since 2015. It's a smaller 2-bedroom, 1-bath home. Since 2015, he's been dreaming about expanding it, renovating it, and making it more comfortable for his family. And when we were out shopping for homes, we're kind of on a tight timeline, I think.
That's right. My wife was giving birth.
Yeah.
She gave birth 2 weeks after we moved in.
Right.
So
That's right. So we were on baby timeline. I was trying to think what timeline was. Yeah, baby timeline. So this house is wonderful. It's a Craftsman. It's when was it built?
It's 100 years this year, 1924.
So it's a classic Craftsman underdog. And it's very charming. Has a lot of interesting architectural elements, and then also kind of odd in some ways. The kitchen was a little squeezed, and so
Right. Fridge wasn't in the kitchen; it was in the laundry room.
Right.
It wasn't there.
yeah. And so talk to us a little bit about you were living in an apartment in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
so we were in a 3-story walk-up in downtown San Francisco with a wife about to give birth, and it was time for us to get out.
Yes.
And we'd been looking for probably 2.5, maybe 3 years at that point for a house. Started by looking in San Francisco, and again, this is sort of 2012 era, so the numbers are just skyrocketing. We got priced now. We were friends before we were real estate friends, and you recommended we take a look at Berkeley, and sure enough, when we came out here, we loved it. And I cried the first time we drove across the bridge, but not the second.
Okay. Yeah. Making that switch is a big deal.
Exactly.
And San Francisco.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of different places in Berkeley, but this spot specifically, this sort of northwest Berkeley area, where it was within a couple of blocks of Totland, within a couple of blocks of Monterey Market, and then just here on Hopkins, we fell in love with.
Yeah.
This is a fantastic ending.
Yeah. And we were given an offer by the agent. The agent gave us a transparent price, and it was a little above market. We were like, oh, this is a little high, but the conversation I had with you, I said, look, I think long-term value, it's going to go up. It's within your price range now, but this is really a kind of a long-term play. And the biggest conversation I had with you, I said, look, as a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, it's about 1,000 square feet. I said, I think you're going to outgrow it at some point. You're going to want more space. So will you have the stomach for a renovation project to expand them?
Mm-hmm.
And Alex and Amanda.
Your wide-eyed bush-tail.
Yeah, sure, that's easy, which is not by any stretch. But here we are. We're literally today. They're pouring the foundation
Today.
on the new addition.
That's right.
And so today's a pretty exciting day to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's long time coming.
Yeah.
It took us longer than I think we thought that it would for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, and so talk a little bit about the process from getting to the point of like, okay, we're ready to expand it to here, today we're pouring foundation.
Yeah, so I mean, we are, again, like you said, the 2-bedroom, 1-bath, 865 square feet, but it had a converted garage.
Oh,
in
that
the
they
back.
count. Oh, that's
Exactly.
what they
added it up to about 1,000 square foot.
Right.
And yeah, but it's on a big 4,300 square foot lot, so it's got a decent amount of backyard, a large flat backyard area. So it always is clear that expansion was possible. We started in earnest. We hired an architect and started in earnest designing our remodel about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago at this point. And yeah, it was an arduous process. I think we completed, as in had drawings to submit to the city. I think we completed 3 different drawing sets before we got to this. Some of them we got to the end and realized the right size for us. Others we got to the end and neighbors objected because of shadows. And then finally getting to 548 square foot additions at just under that 600 square foot cap to allow us to do it as a standard issue.
Right. With that, I'm going to go through the full neighborhood.
Exactly. With that, I'm going to go through the full AUP review, which, again, we started the process on a different design and then added 4 or 5 months to the reno, and we weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
So we basically decided, rather than try to push that through for 2 years, let's make something a little more modest, and that's how we ended up with this design.
Yeah, and Alex and I, like, we discussed kind of at length. You bring me the plan, say, what do you think about this, and how does this work? We're definitely always talking about, like, how does this increase the value of the home? Does this make this a more desirable home? Does it make it less? What are the pros and cons of each design? And we thought a lot about your current debt load and that you had a low interest rate loan with the books. And so one thing we explored, we were like, oh, should you sell it?
Yeah.
And then go buy another house and not have to kind of do this. And I think we really did. We looked at the numbers, and you deep dive, I semi deep dive, but thinking about what was the best path here, and it really did come back to do the addition. Because your property tax basis is lower, you keep your loan, and then you can kind of design the house you want. So I wanted to ask you about what's, in terms of the design process from that 2-year point, 2 years ago to here, what would you describe as like the fun of it and both the pain of it as well? So kind of pros and cons.
Sure. So, I think dreaming is fun, at least for me. Not for everybody. My wife is less of a, she sees the challenges in it sometimes, but the opportunity to imagine a chef's kitchen and to think about how, I'm going to put a laundry hole in the closet that goes right to the laundry area, or, that kind of fun, making the house your own. It's really cool for sure. We designed a butterfly roof that we hope is going to do water catchment down the road. It's going to be really good for solar, and being able to, again, sort of design something that you want specifically, as opposed to say this is good, is really nice. The process was brutal. In it for a couple of reasons. I mean, like, in any remodel, you are working in the constraints of the space and the scenario. So, that includes the existing house. So, how are you going to incorporate what you want onto that existing house without making it look like a bolt-on? Right? It was really important for us to keep the charm of the craftsman and carry that through, and to make sure that we didn't lose the personality of the house. And then you're also constrained by the lot itself, right? So there are a lot of very important rules around what you can and can't build in Berkeley and how big things can be, right? So you got to know about your setbacks. You got to know about your height restrictions. You got to know about all of these different elements, right? And the number of random fees that we had to go through to get to this point was insane. I mean, I don't know if people realize you have to pay Berkeley Unified School District a fee.
Really?
If you build
directly to Berkeley Unified
directly to
School?
Berkeley Unified
I
School
didn't know
District.
that.
Yeah, if you build over 500 square feet, they charge you per square foot over that. Basically, prepay or they force you to back pay property tax.
Property tax.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, totally.
So just fees coming in
From
pretty
every which
randomly.
way. Yeah, pretty randomly from every which
Pretty
way.
exhausting.
Exhausting. Just so much money going out without any positive feedback coming in. And you know, we didn't have. I think we sort of took an attitude very early of, we know this is what we want to do. We talked through it with you. We're just going to keep saying yes. We're just going to keep doing the thing that moves us forward, right? Like, we're going to make some decisions, but the decisions are always going to be in a forward direction.
Yeah.
And that had the benefit of getting us here. And the downside of, I think we probably, you know what, we overpaid our architects and we overpaid our structural engineer. I think we luckily realized that before the big expenses came through, we were able to commit with a really good contractor. I think it's unreasonable. But yeah, I mean, I think like the overall process of building and designing and putting the back and napkin drawings is actually kind of what we ended up with. Something on a napkin.
Yeah. Yeah, and the strange thing about construction too is that additions are actually kind of more complicated than brand new construction.
Sure.
So most contractors will tell you, I'd rather just start with dirt because I can just do everything, I can design everything and all be mapped out, drawn, but combining old and new is tricky. Yeah, it's required some skill and a lot of
and again, there's a lot of quirks to this house. Like if you look, there's this skirt around the whole outside, and that little angle is like this great structural element that gives it a much friendlier feel, but is not just a standard thing, right? So how are you going to incorporate that? Same with the siding, right? This is all original redwood siding. How are we gonna, figuring out what that merge is going to look like is really important. How the flooring is going to integrate, so it looks really. We're actually doing new flooring throughout, but those kinds of decisions. To your point, like how do you merge the old and the new is really tricky.
Really tricky. And the learning curve too. So like you're going through this bureaucracy for the first time, and like people do this all the time. They're like, I know who to call. I know, it's a little easier, right? So there's that too. So like everything you're doing, you're making a decision, but there's a learning curve behind that decision and kind of ramp you up to get to that point to make that decision, which is time. A lot of probably discussions in bed. Where you're just like, was that smart? Is that a good idea?
And you miss stuff. Like we realized we forgot to pick the color of the aluminum on our windows. Something coming white. We had to figure that out, right? Like that's gonna happen.
Right. I did the same thing. Well, my GC did the same thing in a building that I was doing. I think beautiful windows picked out. They just showed up white, and I'm like, can't return them. And it was like $90,000 for the windows. I was like, all right, well, okay.
Figure it out.
Yeah,
exactly. So there's a lot of that, and I remember in the planning approval process, which we ended up designing this butterfly roof, and then our old contractor had some thoughts about like, hey, this is a really expensive roof. Maybe we can do a cheaper version. Our crappy architect was like, sure, let's design this whole new roof, which the city, rightfully, thankfully, said, hey, if you do this, you got to replace the whole foundation of the whole house. So it turned into this morass.
Issues or something?
I mean, you are touching, if you touch part of the house, the structural part of the house, then that has to be up to code, right? So if we replace the entire roof, including the front half of the house, then like we are structurally changing the house of make sure that it meets code. So so that was just. But I credit the city for catching that. But throughout the process, the city, when we would submit plans, they would submit comments and feedback. And it would often be like, oh my gosh, the city's telling us that we're doing something terrible and it's not going to work. And the contractor would constantly be like, totally normal. It's part of the process. Like, not something that we experienced before, but it's a reality that there's going to be moves and things that make sense.
I liken it to, remember the show Sons of Anarchy?
Sure.
and they would always get into a position where like there's no way these guys are getting out of this situation. The arrival gate had surrounded the small hotel building,
Yeah.
and like somehow they got out. So like my experience in development is that you do hit those points where you're like, there's no way we're getting out of this.
Right.
Like this is a deal killer.
Yeah.
This is a fee that I can't take on. This is something, and you just kind of keep
Chugging through
in
it.
there,
Chugging through
and you
it.
find a way, and you find people, and you problem solve.
Exactly.
Which is kind of fun and satisfying, and then also exhausting.
I mean, look, I'll say this. If all things were equal,
Yeah.
right? Like if this didn't make clear financial sense,
Yeah.
and we could stay in Berkeley,
Yeah.
and just transfer our value from one place to another,
Right.
we would have.
That's
right?
it. Yeah.
I
of
would
course.
rather have not gone through
Yeah.
this process.
Right.
But
Right.
all things not being equal, we're glad that we've like gotten to the point of pouring foundation.
And this is kind of, this is a big reason why I want to talk to you, because most people, it's about getting into the market. It's about getting into the location or the city you want to be in. And because you can't change location, but you can change house.
Yeah.
Right? And so like you get in at a price point you can afford, your life changes, you hopefully make some bucks, and you can do this later on. And I have other friends who have done this too, and it's not ideal. I mean, we'd all like to just write a check and have a perfectly done house. Yeah.
I mean, to your point, if I had to do over again, I think we look back at our process 9 years ago, looking around, and again, this is like 2012 to 2015, prices are going up 20% a year, right? And they were just continuing to go up. And you're absolutely right. We were able to get into this house at, from our perspective, a reasonable price.
Yeah.
When we look back at that process, I think we wish we would have spent more early, right? Like they were
Stretch yourself a little more financially.
exactly over that 2.5 year process. As prices were going up and up, we would go into a place that was near the top of our budget, and then kind of I don't know, are we really gonna go for this, try to match, and right, like we look back at some of the houses that we passed up, and we're like, oh man,
Which reminds me of the adage in real estate: when's the best time to buy real estate? 5 years ago. It's just like
It's true.
Especially in a town like Berkeley, where the values do just continue to go up, and it's just a nice city, well-run city. You look back on these deals, you're like, I should have bought that. Like, what was I thinking? And but that happens inevitably.
Exactly.
it's
You're right.
just like, but I hear you. I hear you. And sometimes we do make that recognition. Stretch to the absolute max you can go to. It's that difference between you owning the home sometimes and the home owning you. Right. And so like you're just kind of burdened by a high mortgage payment or whatever.
That's true.
Like,
And we do have some friends that have recently bought her in that situation where, it's with the mortgage rate put them in a hole. But I think like the expectation is that mortgage is not forever.
Should we go inside and go to the back and look at kind of what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. Should we go around the back?
Yeah.
So right now this is 2-1, 865 square feet. We're expanding to a 3-2.
Yes.
Right. So we're going to add primary bedroom and bathroom and a walk-through closet. And then expand the kitchen. That's the sort of two main things that are happening with this remodel. The dining room's going to get a little bit bigger. We're going to reorganize some closets. We're going to change some pass-throughs with the ensuite bathroom. Replace all the windows. Replace the fireplace.
Great.
Fix the porch.
You gonna keep the fireplace?
I think that we haven't officially decided yet. The conversation is the fireplace itself is so big in a relatively small living room that we want to shrink the fireplace. And the question is, can we shrink the fireplace itself? Without can we do that easily? And if we can't, can we replace that with a gas?
Is what we would do.
Right,
You don't want to keep a wood burning fireplace.
But should we?
Realtor. For value or for your own use?
For value.
Value, I'd say remove it. I think.
Then remove it if we shall.
I think wood burning fireplaces are going the way of the dinosaurs.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah.
So yes, it's gonna go. I think we're gonna put in a gas insert as a plan right now.
Yeah, and there's some structural, instability above the roof line, with mostly it's chimneys, and some people get worried about earthquakes.
Right, and when you're replacing the entire roof and the chimney goes through the roof, that's the time to replace the chimney or get rid of the chimney. So
yes.
Yeah, so this is the old living room. And you can see sort of the shape of the
Or dining room, really?
Sorry, dining room.
Yeah.
Thank you. Old dining room. The living room's on the other side of this wall. And yeah, the plan that we landed on was to basically take as much advantage as possible of the 600 square foot addition that you can do automatically.
Yes.
Right. So basically, you stay under 600 square feet and you stay under 14 feet of average roof height, then you're gold.
Okay.
So we are in essence building that addition off the back of the house into the yard.
Great.
And that's going to add, basically more than double the size of our very small kitchen. So we can actually have the fridge in the kitchen. What a concept.
Right.
Add a little dinette area, and then again create a bedroom and bathroom and closet.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cost wise,
Yeah.
What are you roughly all in
Sure.
for all of this work?
So if we include again, way overpaid our architects. Right, I think we spent over $50,000 on just the architectural work. In large part because we did it 3 times. Right. We spent another $17,000 on just the structural engineering, and probably another 10 on just the city permitting and things like that.
Yeah.
I think we're budgeting let's call that $100,000.
Yeah, that's your soft cost.
Yeah. Another $100,000 in fixtures is our estimate, because again, 2 bathrooms, full new kitchen.
Okay.
And then about $350,000. So we're betting roughly $600,000 all in.
500 to 600. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, this brings up kind of the other reason why we kind of landed at this decision, and I supported it, was buy the house at $850, invest a 500 to 600, so that puts you at what, 1.45, something like that, right? I'm valuing the house at roughly kind of 1.8 plus once it's fully renovated, right? So there's nice uptick there, and that's just day one, right? And so then it just kind of moves forward.
Right.
I think I've seen fully renovated houses capture huge numbers that are kind of blow the market away. I'm just basing that on roughly kind of just comps in the area, but once you've touched everything like this, it really does spike the value.
That's great.
And people love it. People love
Sure.
craftsmen with a modern touch is like the sweet spot.
That's
I
good.
feel like
That's good.
in Berkeley. I mean, that is the thing that kind of
Craftsman with a
people,
modern touch. I love it. That's what this is going to be. And right, I think
you're combining old and new.
exactly. Combining old and new but hopefully with a very seamless-esque look, right? Like we're matching this sort of 4-pane fancy window style. We're bringing through all of the trim into the new space. We're trying to maintain that look and feel for sure. It's just gonna have a vaulted ceiling and have a different vibe.
Great.
Yeah, no, I think that's good to hear.
Yeah. No, you're doing well.
We're doing right. We're doing the right
well.
move. Great. And we aren't remodeling as a flip, right? Like we are doing this. We also actually we hired a designer, which I'm so grateful that we did.
Good.
A friend of ours recommended the designer and the contractor actually that we've been really happy with. But just having somebody that can really think through the colors and recommend not just you should have a gold light fixture here, but here's 3 examples that you can use my discount on. It's much more, so that has been really fantastic.
Good, awesome.
Yeah,
good tip. So, but not a design build firm you didn't use. You just kind of pieced it together a la carte.
Exactly, pieced it together a la carte. We interviewed a lot of different design build firms and talked to a lot of different architects. Again, first time going through it. I don't know if we did it the right way. If I had it to do over again, I would probably found a different way.
Might go one-stop shop.
Maybe
design build.
Maybe. I mean, I definitely liked the one-stop shops that we talked to.
Yeah.
They were all more expensive.
Yes, that's part of the downside of things.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, I think in terms of the cost, again, I talked about sort of the complex roof line.
Yeah.
And trying to value engineer as much as possible
Yeah.
to sort of bring some of that cost down was important.
Mhm.
And little things make a big difference in that
Yeah.
regard, for sure.
Yeah, value engineering, huge concept. You get the plans, and someone bids to plans, the GC bids to plans, and then they start thinking of ways to modify those plans, or to not fully modify the plans, but to do building techniques that are cheaper. And so you're looking to save money and different things. So you can, if you have metal stairs, you can say, okay, let's do wood stairs, but the same, but still the same stairwell.
Yeah, I like the big area for us was the roof, and the difference between a vaulted ceiling, which meant you'd have to sort of custom cut the beams,
Okay.
versus a trussed ceiling, because you can buy the trusses pre-built and it's much cheaper,
Right.
from that perspective.
Yeah.
Which is sort of the triangle shape with
Yeah.
all the things in.
So you've learned more about houses than you ever thought you
Yeah,
know about.
for sure,
Right?
absolutely. And it always keeps coming. Like our contractor showed up and he's like, hey, I can dig a basement over here. So
Right.
so now that's sort of a tail. We got a second project when this one's done to build a basement.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you'll find there's going to be curveballs in the process
Oh, yeah.
here. I'm just like,
Yeah.
we thought we could do this, we can't do that.
Yep.
Make a decision, the dreaded change order.
Yeah, exactly. We're hoping to
Hopefully keep those at a minimum.
as few as
I'm not
possible.
trying to wish that upon you. I'm just saying those things happen occasionally
Yes.
to other people.
Yes, they can happen for sure.
So yeah, you want to show us the outside a little
Yeah,
bit? 'Cause,
sure.
I love when the forms are up and
Yeah, and you really
yeah.
see what's gonna be.
yes.
So yeah, I mean, this is the old kitchen.
I'm good.
Yeah, and you can see basically what we're doing is building a wall here and building a box back, right? So the new foundation and the new construction starts here, and what we'll end up doing is expanding the dining room just a little bit, right? Adding a little bit of length here,
Yep.
and then putting a side door, and then this all becomes kitchen going back. So you can really get a good sense of the structure of what we're building here. This right side box is the new kitchen area. We decided to build a real sanctuary bedroom, so I didn't want clothes in the bedroom, right? I didn't want storage in the bedroom. I didn't want the bathroom in the bedroom, right? I wanted the bedroom to be as sanctuary as possible. So the bedroom itself,
Like kind of minimalist.
right? Not necessarily. I mean, obviously we're gonna have a bed, we're gonna have
Yeah.
a chair to sit in and some space, but recognizing that we are making this house much bigger, but also it's still going to be under 1,500 square feet, right? So it's not going to be a giant.
Huge. Yeah.
It's not going to be huge,
Right.
right? So we wanted to make the bedroom as comfortable as possible, but it's not going to be that giant, right? I think it's
Yeah.
like a 10 by 15 at most.
Okay.
But yeah, so the idea is basically the bed will face the back with some nice double French doors, but then behind that is a walk-through closet,
Okay.
and then through that closet is the bathroom, right? So we're gonna build some nice closet, enclosures on either side.
Yeah.
You walk through to a lovely bathroom with a big shower. So you'll note this comes out roughly an additional, I think it's 17 feet, right, Ramiro? Something like that. More 20.
It's it's just 50 for the existing house, and in the corners is 24.
Yeah. So
Right.
something like that. So that expansion
Yeah.
eats up a lot of yard, right? And which we didn't ideally want to do. So our original plan only came out 9 feet,
Okay.
but it added a second story,
Got it.
right? Once we couldn't go up a second story, we made the decision to come out the full distance, but with the expectation
Because of life disruption for neighbors, that'd be an issue because you still were under square footage though by going up.
No, well, if you go up, we were over the square
You
feet.
were over
We
the
were going to
square
add 1,000 square feet
Got it.
with the, I think actually 1,200.
Okay.
So we were going to more than double the size of the house.
Okay.
Anything over 600,
Right.
you need shadow studies and
Okay.
permits, approval. You put the sign out front. People
Yeah.
can say they don't like it and all that.
But a lot of people don't like
A lot of people don't like things, right? Exactly. So, right, our neighbors specifically And look, I get it. You know, we are close to the property line. We build a 2-story house right next to us.
Yeah.
You know, I get it.
Yeah.
Instead, we're just going to build a really high vaulted peak.
Right. Good.
But
Yeah.
I do think like we're lucky enough that this is a large lot.
Yeah. Great.
So this shed goes away, and I think this ends up still feeling like a plenty of yard for us.
Yeah, and this right here was a garage. It
That's
was
right.
converted.
That's right. This
wasn't
was
originally, which was a selling point for you. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no, you know, it was kind of a way to have more square footage and have more space.
Yeah.
Kind of in the interim to get to this point. So I remember we talked about it. I was like, you think you'll use it? And you were like, oh, definitely. Oh, this is definitely my wheelhouse. I'll definitely.
Oh yeah. It was a multi-use thing. Honestly, it was a godsend. It was during the pandemic we had kindergarten. Camp.
Oh right.
And that was the schoolhouse.
Wow.
So we had 5 families that were here every day, 5 kids and
Right.
a teacher that
Forgot about that.
Yeah. So and right, it wasn't for that schoolhouse. It was only for that building, which you know we could. It had walls, it had a floor, it had electricity.
Yeah.
Right. We could sort of make that work.
Yeah.
So, that was a godsend.
Right.
And we are going to miss it, but at the same time, it was, you know, not even. It was like cardboard walls.
And the house being kind of pushed up towards the front of the lot helped this design work, because you had this back space.
To me, actually, is surprisingly large.
Is that a new shed?
That is so. That was the shed that was originally in that corner over
Okay.
here.
All right.
And then we moved it to the back.
Okay, cool.
And put it on a pad.
Okay.
So that'll be his permanent location.
Great.
We basically emptied this house into
Yeah.
that box.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. But right, the plan is for that to go away. And now, I mean, even when we remove this, the spaces seem so much bigger when you get rid of the thing in that space, right? And I totally anticipate when we get rid of this, all of a sudden that, you know, 3 feet over here and the 8 foot on the back that we don't see right now suddenly become part of the yard.
Absolutely.
And it opens everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've always loved this yard. You get great light back. So here's the rebar here. So that's the steel that's going to reinforce that foundation, that concrete core. They're going to pull a truck up right to that, right in that driveway there that you see, and bring a big truck and just pump that concrete in, which is, for me, very satisfying moment when I've done it. So I'm recommending that Alex stays today and watches it, because it really is like, you know, it's a big deal. It's your foundation.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, anything like a good foundation.
that's true. And I'll tell you, like, it's interesting. If you look at the foundation of the original house, right? It's a 1924 build, and when they were pulling out the old foundation, you know, it maybe went 8 inches into the ground, you know. And you look at
like a
this,
tent.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it was piled on a bunch of rocks, right?
Right.
And I look at the foundation that they're building here, and you know, if there's an earthquake, we run up the new.
Yeah. Run to the back.
Run to the back.
Yeah. So, in conclusion, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm really excited for you.
Thank
I
you.
think it's gonna change your life. You know, I think it's gonna. I think your space and how you live in it, and you know, enjoying your family in a different way.
Yeah.
Having me over for dinner.
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, that's really, honestly, the main driver of this was, we loved the neighborhood, we loved the house, but it was too small to host, right? We couldn't do
I
a
know that was your
Thanksgiving with the
complaint.
family,
Right.
We couldn't do the more than one family over at a time kind of thing. So being able to expand the dining room, expand the kitchen, so that, like, I just have the dream of my daughter and all of her friends sitting in the dinette watching a movie while I'm cooking dinner.
Absolutely. That's life changing.
That's life changing.
You know, it really is. It's
Yeah.
not just, it's just not just stuff. So I'm excited. I'm gonna, you know, come out and I like this stuff. I geek out on it. So I'll come out and check on your progress.
Good.
Yeah. So this is a terrific example of long-term planning
Yes.
and getting in the right place at the right time, executing over time, 10 years.
Sure.
And
Right.
then this will set you up for, you know, this can be a forever in the future.
Yeah.
There's no reason. You're not going to put another addition on.
Right.
So,
Yeah, right. And you know, that's one of the advantages of staying a single story too. Is that you
Yeah.
know, it works for making sure that there's no lip in the shower, so that I can roll my walker.
Right. Totally. So it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So congrats. Thanks for talking
Thanks,
to me
man.
today.
Absolutely.
And let's have dinner.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Have a family over.
All right. Yeah. All right. Cool.
Okay. Thanks.